All right, welcome back, everyone. This is another AWS On Air, and today we have our friends from the AWS Supply Chain team here to talk to us about their new product and service. My name is Aaron Hunter. I'm a principal technical trainer with AWS Training and Certification, and I'm joined with my friend Danny.
Hello, I'm so excited to talk about this with you folks today. AWS Supply Chain just seems so powerful for people that are in, that have production use cases. For myself, I work with a lot of life sciences companies that are doing drug discovery and production. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about, what types of industries are using supply chain and how powerful it is.
Great. Well, first, thank you very much for having us. We are very excited to be here with you guys today. So thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to have you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well, we have Tom.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say we have Tom and Diego here to join. Andrew is behind the scenes. He's helping to answer questions. He just wanted to jump on video real quick and say hi to everyone. So he's there. Make sure to say hi to Andrew in the chat for us. But Tom and Diego, thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate it.
No, thank you for having us. Well, just to jump on the subject, correct? Supply chains, as you guys know, are very critical to almost every business and is affecting all our lives on a day-to-day basis. And really how companies really articulate and manage their business and the complexities of their global networks, their suppliers, the manufacturing side, the shippers, the ports, and everything that it really has to be orchestrated in order for us consumers to get our products on time, correct? So it's very important for us to help companies to build a more resilient supply chain. So, and today's supply chain data, it's really scattered across a vast network of systems, ERP solutions, execution and management tools, and all of that data is stored in multiple different types of formats. And this data is constantly changing and can be impacting on how the systems really operate. So we need to get a more complete view of that supply chain. We need to work with all those different systems. So companies really have a lot of issues trying to stitch together all that data, and they're doing a lot of customs integrations, and they need to do a lot of analytics on top of that data so it can really work. So what we have done is really try to solve supply chain from a different angle. We wanted to solve supply chain from the angle in terms of how can we bring a more automated supply chain, a more smarter supply chain that can look into the data, that can help our customers to really extract all the data that they have across all those systems that I just explained to you, and how can we harmonize that data without the need of replatforming. So we can help our customers to really extract that potential, understand where the inventory imbalances or some of the disruptions they might have across their supply chain. We want to be able to help them understand how those sites are really operating in an efficient way. We want to be able to reduce cost. And at the end of the day, all that will help our customers or their customers to have a much better outcome in terms of how products get moved through the supply chain, and is definitely going to increase customer satisfaction across the network. So looking at it in a way that we're trying to bring all the data in, we want to help harmonizing. We want to be able to give them insights about all the data, how all the data is really reflected in all that visualization that we have in terms of a map. And then from there, we can drill down to understand how can we help them manage that supply chain more efficiently. Like I said before, how can we create a watch list so we can take a look in terms of specific locations where they need to drill down? How can we look at that information? How can we bring also other machine learning tools, like, for example, help our customers to be able to have a much better indication of their lead times from their vendors, how they communicate with their vendors, how they work with their vendors, how can get a better visibility of when that product is going to come into the supply chain, so they can have a better model to predict when the products are going to be shipped and how orders are going to get fulfilled. So it's really a really exciting tool that is really putting together and combining, for combining our knowledge into supply chain, Amazon plus 20 plus years of supply chain knowledge, and also combining it with AWS storage, capacity, infrastructure, and ML. So it's very exciting to see the combination of all those elements to provide our customers with a very good and resilient solution.
Yeah, and it seems like with the traditional supply chain for non-cloud operations, there's a lot of risk that you have to mitigate. And there's a lot of cost that you have to absorb, and there's a certain ceiling. So I imagine with AWS Supply Chain, we're helping our customers mitigate risk and also reduce costs and overall operational overhead too.
That is correct. That is correct, because at the end of the day, what we want to make sure is our customers are managing the right level of inventories at all times. If you carry too much inventory, that inventory can get obsolete, or you at the end of the day are incurring additional charges or expenditures for carrying that extra inventory. If you have less inventory in specific sites, you're going to run in terms of stockouts, or at the end of the day, your customers or your customers' customers are going to be the ones affected. So we want to make sure that our customers have the right level of inventory at all levels, at all times, on all different locations where they have their operations.
And that can go from both sides, like not having enough inventory and then not being able to sell to the customers and being able to kind of forecast that. And then the flip side of that coin could be maybe having too much inventory. And I can imagine one industry could be like a consumable industry. Just kind of spitballing here, but let's say maybe jam, because I love peanut butter and jelly. Maybe a jam where their containers of jam expire after a certain amount of time. So they can probably inventory that, figure out how to prioritize that supply chain and move it in the right way for their businesses and their customers, and ultimately me, so I can eat more peanut butter and jelly.
Totally.
Yeah. And the other thing I think about is just there's so much more multimodal data now, right? And so how do we aggregate that together to get a real-time view of what's really happening, where we're running out of things, where there might be a particular problem, a kink in our supply chain, so to speak. And how do we do that quickly enough that we can actually take an actionable business step to remediate that before it becomes a big problem and we're losing revenue, right? So supply chain helps with that. Is that right?
Totally, and that's you hit it very correctly. We by giving that visualization, by giving that understanding of where your inventory is at all times, and being able to add ML models to help us understand how better optimize that inventory across your entire network, is giving our customers the benefits that you just mentioned, correct? How can we reduce costs? How can we reduce risk, friction among the different also departments within our organization? Because supply chain is not just a cost center, right? Supply chain now, it's really affecting or working across all different levels in the company and in different departments, finance, purchasing, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure that your supply chain is running well, so you can collaborate with the rest of the organization and make sure that everybody is really having a better track of that supply, that demand, those inventory patterns, and how can we, at the end of the day, like I said before, build that resiliency across the supply chain so we can better serve our customers. Yes.
I have a question on that. So it sounds like customers already maybe have ways to solve those problems on their own.
Definitely, there's a bunch of systems out there in the market for supply chain. I think the difference in the different approach in terms of how we're coming into the market, the differentiation approach for us is that we're really looking in terms of how can we use the data that these companies have in multiple areas in the organization. And if you think about a customer of us, they will have different systems, like I said before, between an ERP solution or a warehouse management system, transportation, procurement, and others. So all those systems were built to solve point solutions, but they were never built to harmonize all this information, all this data, and to be able to collaborate in a way that we want to collaborate. And also, they were not built to contextualize all this data so data be presented to the user, so the user can then, with machine learning and other tools, can get a better information of how they need to react, or how the system is really giving you the opportunity to analyze that information, and so you can make decisions based on the algorithms and the decision that we make in terms of how best to move that inventory across your network. So there are solutions, definitely, but there are no solutions like ours that can sit on top of all these different systems without the need of replatforming or changing your system. So that's the power of our application.
So what I'm hearing is, even though there may be a way to kind of address these issues already, they're isolated and they're kind of siloed in the way that they resolve those issues. So AWS Supply Chain really helps to kind of take all the data and spread it across these different siloed environments, and then connecting the dots for our customers to identify the right path forward for their business.
Yeah, and we do that as an out-of-the-box application, which is great. And another great point is that it's a pay-as-you-go model. So you only pay for what you use. And this is really exciting. And this is also changing how supply chain applications are going to be consumed in the market. So we're very excited about that too.
And what I'm hearing from you too is that you don't have to, as a business, go through the step of like re-architecting. You might be set up for a point-to-point, solutions, but what AWS Supply Chain can offer is the ability to take all of that data, right, and reduce those silos and get a full topology of how things are actually performing, right? And so that seems really powerful to me. Aaron, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is very powerful, and you hit it very well there. The fact that a lot of, like I said before, a lot of those systems were not built to work together the way, because is very few customers you will see that everything is running from one single vendor. Correct? There, some customers will use something for their ERP, something you will use for supply chain execution, transportation, warehouse management, like I said, others. So having the capabilities and offering the capabilities that are offering our customers is really, really helping them to now take a different approach in terms of how they're going to use and consume their data, and also take all these ML power insights that we're providing to them so they can solve their problems in real time.
Yeah, you mentioned also like learning and constantly learning and using ML models and so forth. And there's a comment in the chat, I saw it, about like even Amazon's logistics. And I imagine like we're not just learning from Amazon's logistics, but we're also learning from all the feedback that we get, and then constantly improving the way that we provide this service to customers, so that way they can provide the best service and output to their customers too. A lot of conversations really start with words, but they end with a demo. Is there anything that maybe you can share with us?
Yeah, definitely. Tom will be sharing a quick demo about the product, and then we can add some more comments and give and answer other questions for our audience. So yeah,
perfect. Tom, you've been
speaking of the audience
over there.
Yeah. Speaking of the audience, really fast, if you have supply chain questions, drop them in the chat. We're happy to answer them. We're happy to kind of have a conversation about this amazing service. So please do.
Thank you.
Please do. Tom, how's it going? Before you jump into the demo, do you want to say hi to our friends watching live?
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here with Diego to share a quick demo of AWS Supply Chain. I think as was mentioned, we just went and became generally available this week. So anyone now can go up and sign up and get into AWS Supply Chain. So we're very excited about that. Team has been working very hard, and want to show you guys the screens and how they're coming in terms of doing all the things we were just talking about, getting your data in from disparate places, finding insights, and showing real recommendations that the system is generating to help create a resilient supply chain. So if
generally available recently, all of our friends watching live, do me a favor, throw a ta-da emoji in the chat or a party emoji in the chat. Let's give Diego and Tom a little ta-da party, okay? So whoop, whoop. But Tom, let's go ahead and jump into your demo, and then we see that Jasmine's going to rotate in pretty soon. Thank you, Brian. All right, Tom, what
awesome.
Are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is a view of the home dashboard of AWS Supply Chain. So I'm going to go through a couple of different areas of the application now. So we'll have to put our hats on for a data analyst who might put data in. This view might be from an inventory planner who's looking and digging for insights. But let's assume that we're at a company, a large tire manufacturer in North America. And so you're going to see some tire references throughout. But the first thing I'm going to show is really just how we talked about the ability to take data from disparate places and really stream them and harmonize them together into AWS Supply Chain. So, imagine this is one data stream coming in from, looks like it's this is either EPP or SAP S/4HANA connection. It could be a number of connections that are available. So I'm actually going to show that real quick. So, we offer these 4 right now. This list is going to grow over time. SAP ECC, S/4HANA. We also enable an EDI connection, and if you just want to dump data into an S3 bucket, that's easy to do. Let's start with this S/4HANA connection. I'm going to click through. First step is simple. Add in some connection details. Is really just kind of setting you up with the credentials to get into SAP. I'm not going to go through this in detail. We're going to click next, and I'll spend a little bit of time here because this is really, we're taking your data from a source system and we're putting it into our supply chain data model. So when you think about all the types of entities that are in supply chain, the non-transactional stuff like the network, your sites, the transportation lanes, the products, the planning, all that stuff will kind of be mapped into supply chain, AWS Supply Chain. And then all the transactional stuff like the purchase orders, inventory levels, outbound, inbound shipments, that's all going to be mapped as well. And so we kind of tried to provide a very simple experience to grab that data, map it to entities, and then the AI takes over, machine learning takes over, does associations, and then you're ready to go. So a simple process to map over data. I'm gonna click accept all. This is a process to kind of go through. You can do some checks and sample data upload just to make sure things are right. But imagine we've gone through that. Now, we have some connections, like we might have operations, historical sales, pricing, promotions. But this is where Diego mentioned you can take data from different systems, different platforms, ERP systems. It could be just raw data from Excel being uploaded, and that all kind of goes into the entities as we talked about in this data model. So next, I'm going to jump into really kind of the exciting part is insights. So imagine now that you're an inventory planner or manager for this tire company, and you start to see, well, I have actually stock out risks. I have products that maybe in a couple of days, this one 6 days, this P0 tires at the Seattle distribution center is going to stock out. We talked about before, your reference of, having excess stock. So if it's excess stock, it's just potentially a problem too. It could be an end of life or a product that might go bad, or it could be that we're spending so much money stocking this excess product we don't need to. So both from an inventory standpoint, the stock out risk and the excess and low stock are going to be insight types.
I can even think of like maybe
cool.
a different use case too, where it's
kind of rebalance things. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
The system will do it for you. The rebalancing is the suggestions, and you will see in a minute. That's where ML comes on board to help our customers to give them the best recommendations on how to rebalance the inventory across the network. And our customers are too busy in managing their business, so they want and they need our help from us to help them, like I said, rebalancing that inventory. We'll give them the recommendations. You'll see in a minute what Tom is going to show you, and so I'll stop and I'll let him run with it.
Yeah, it's just simple as, I see this potential stock out. I want to view the details of this. I'd get a little bit more of a snapshot. So we're giving you kind of a summary of what's happening, showing you current inventory levels and positions, even showing kind of projected inventory, what's going to be happening. I can kind of open that up and view a whole chart of that. And one of the things kind of in addition to really trying to get at like what are problems, what are recommendations, we're also trying to make this experience extremely easy and intuitive for users. So typically you might see in this space the interfaces on these supply chain experiences as being very difficult. You have to go through training, you need documentation. Our goal is to try to eliminate that, make things very simple. Anyone can jump in at any point on any of these screens and get a real sense of what's happening, what action I have to take next, how do I set something up. Even if I'm more of a newbie in this space, it should be hopefully easy to get involved with it. I'm gonna jump in and show, now we're looking at specifically this tire. It's in the Seattle distribution center, like I mentioned. It's risk of stocking out in 6 days. There's a shortage of 3,000 units, and we're looking at now. This is through AWS Supply Chain offering resolution recommendations. So there's 2 options the system is giving to rebalance that inventory. So essentially, what it's doing is calculating, where is there other inventory across the network? How can I move that inventory to this affected site and make sure that they're meeting their demand for this inventory, but then the other location it's coming from is not going to be stocked out anytime soon. So, is there a question on that? We can show more.
No, I was just adjusting my headset.
Oh, yeah. So now, like, I'm opening up this view. This is kind of this is an option to move these units from another location, and I could see that I can move some. They're going to be moving from kind of stock out red now to green later on. Maybe this previous location had purple, which is excess stock, so they had excess. They're going to go now to green. So just simple colors, simple visuals, getting it to be kind of really clear. As a user, the other thing I can do, and kind of the beauty of AWS Supply Chain, is that there's a lot of collaboration that can happen. So if I know that I want to take action, I might, as Rebecca, the user here, say, let me ask the person who's maybe in charge of that other site, hey, I'm thinking of making this change. Do you see any issues? Let's collaborate about this. And this happens right within the experience. And one of the things we heard when we went out and talked to customers, we went to facilities, we saw the different monitors that people had in their workspaces. We were like, well, how do you communicate? How do you collaborate with different people, even within the facility? And we heard, like, wow, this is a huge challenge. I have to go either, pull up some other service. I have to then type an email. I have to figure out who's who. And so having the collaboration component built into the interface where you can contextually chat about something, or if you wanted to go into, a whole experience around communicating with all your teammates, we're kind of enabling that through the system.
That's really, really amazing. I like the rebalance option that you have here. It's so cleanly presented. It's kind of clear to see where we have less product, where we have more, where we have sufficient product, right? And then being able to chat in real time to solve issues on the fly rather than have to go system to system to system and through a ton of hops, right? To get to an ultimate conclusion. I mean, that is really handy.
And then
the use case of like transferring tires like from one center to another center, but I can imagine like even other functional teams, like the marketing team can probably use this data to say like, maybe we're not marketing this product the right way, and they need to reevaluate what that looks like to get the right product in front of the right customers so they can move that inventory.
And that's exactly right, because this is what we were saying before, Craig. Supply chain now needs to collaborate with everybody within the organization. It's not just a cost center. So,
and it simplifies that entire process. Yeah,
simplifies the entire process. You get all the different resources of the organization collaborating, understanding the data, contextualizing that supply chain data is the biggest issue. So we're contextualizing all that data, presenting it to a user. But one thing that I wanted to reinforce is that the algorithms that we have are much complex, and they're really taking a bunch of different variables like cost, distance, CO2 emissions for sustainability, and others. So we want to make sure that the rebalancing is not only benefiting the location where you're moving the inventory to, is rebalancing the inventory in a way that all locations across the network are going to have the right level of inventory for the next 7, 14, 21 days, depending on how you configure it, correct? So all this is very configurable, and that's what is the beauty about our application. You don't have to, do anything more than personalize the experience for you, for your business, and that's another key element of our application.
Yeah, and there's a comment in the chat, or actually a question in the chat, if it's okay for me to ask it. Does the machine learning, I'm guessing the machine learning algorithm for AWS Supply Chain only look at data for stores that are linked together, or can stores be recommended?
Well, depending, it's all the data that you have loaded into the application, correct? Like we everything that is in your network. So we don't go outside because we don't know your topology. We don't know where else you have locations. or warehouses or any physical inventory that you have. So it has to be in the system. It has to be loaded. That's why when Tom was explaining that we load all your sites or your vendors, all that non-transactional data is very key for us to be able to execute and be able to provide the recommendations that we do.
Yeah, so the customers load their data and load their inventory information into AWS Supply Chain, and the supply chain uses that to be able to provide recommendations based on the data that's provided from the customers. So it's pretty powerful because, like, even though there's all these disparate systems, and Danny mentioned like the dotted lines that are everywhere, being able to connect those dots and connect those partners and different teams and departments and organizations together can expedite the process of solving problems of either having too much or too little supply.
Yeah. And Danny says something critical here. It's like some companies will like all these recommendations to be fully automated and say, okay, execute the best one that the system recommended, go and execute that one. But some other companies said, no, you know what? I want to analyze this data. I want to Danny's point, my marketing department, my sales department, to analyze this data. Do we want to really move inventory from this location, or are we going to run a campaign against this inventory in the other location? So we decrement that inventory in a sales campaign, or so we want also to give options to our customers and decide what they want to do with the information at hand, correct? So that's another powerful options that we provide to our customers. Is like we will allow you to run your business the way you want it. We just giving you the data, the visibility, and all the alternatives and the results based on all the work that we had done behind the scenes for you.
That's amazing. Oh, there's a lot of excitement in the chat. I saw the ta-da and the party hats earlier for going generally available. So congratulations on that. There's a lot of questions in the chat, and I see that Andrew has been answering some of them. So thank you, Andrew, for helping us. Where can people go to find out more about this new product that you have made GA?
Definitely. So you can go to our site. You can go to in the console, and you can access it from there. So it's available through any other areas where you can get all this information. So it's ready to go through the normal channels where you guys can get access to all the AWS applications. So it's ready for you to, and if you also said from your SSO, you can also start getting access to the application as well.
Yeah, so for anyone watching, I would also maybe say like aws.amazon.com/AWS-supply-chain. Go there, get all the information about AWS Supply Chain, and start deploying it to solve your business problems in terms of the logistics and supply chain demands that you have. Tom and Diego, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having us. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Andrew, thank you for your help in the chat. And for everyone watching us live, stay tuned. We'll be right back.